And from this, we cut across to a big breaking news update coming in. The Supreme Court has set free all 6 live convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. Nalini, Ravichandran, Murugan, Santhan and Jayakumar, along with Robert Payas, all of whom have been set free by the top court. The Supreme Court, remember, was hearing this petition filed in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. And they were hearing the plea of convicts Nalini and Ravichandran seeking premature release on the lines of order passed in favour of another convict, Perarivalan, in May this year itself. Now, the Supreme Court, we are being told, took into consideration their conduct in jail, the fact that they've spent more than 30 years in jail already. In fact, the state's cabinet's decision was binding on the governor, but since the governor's not acted for the last 4 years, the Supreme Court has now released all. Let me go across to Harish joining us with more details. Harish, this is big breaking news update coming in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case, the top court invoking a Perarivalan case, and also with that, keeping that in mind, releasing the 6 convicts.
Yes, that's right, Christine. A very big development as far as the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case is concerned, citing the premature release of another life convict, Perarivalan, in May this year. The Supreme Court bench led by Justice B.R. Gavai has just now set free Nalini, Ravichandran, Murugan, Santhan, Jayakumar and Robert Payas. So, along with Perarivalan in May 18, 6 more life convicts have got the relief of premature release. In fact, what is to be remembered is that it's a very emotive issue in Tamil Nadu. Several pro-Tamil parties like DMK, PMK and All India AIDMK had supported the release of these convicts, and way back in September 2018, the state cabinet under then Chief Minister Jayalalitha had in fact recommended to the governor the release of all the convicts, but the governor had been sitting on the recommendation and recently passed it to the president to take a decision. But earlier in May 2018, the Supreme Court emphatically ruled that once the state cabinet makes a recommendation, it's binding on the governor, and the governor should have acted in September 2018 itself. So after 4 years, all these convicts have got the big relief. Supreme Court, as you rightly said, was hearing a petition filed by Nalini, Sriharan and RP Ravichandran seeking premature release on the lines of the order passed in favour of Perarivalan in May 18. Remember, invoking its extraordinary jurisdiction, Article 142, Supreme Court had in May 18 ordered release of Perarivalan, who had served more than 30 years in jail. In fact, Supreme Court, while ordering premature release of all these 6 convicts, had taken into consideration the fact that they have spent 30 years in jail, their good conduct in the jail and also their advanced age. Therefore, this bench had extensively invoked the May 18 judgment in the case of Perarivalan, another convict, and has now released all these convicts, though only Nalini and Ravichandran had moved the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court took into consideration the fact that Murugan, Santhan, Jayakumar and Robert Payas are also in jail. Their release had also been recommended by State Cabinet way back in September 2018, and on grounds of parity, all 6, the other 4 have also got the relief. So along with Nalini and Ravichandran, Supreme Court ordered release of Murugan, Santhan, Jayakumar and Robert Payas. So it's a very big development as far as the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case is concerned.
All right, let me go across to Prapanch. Stay on with us, Harish. Thank you for getting us those details. Prapanch, the central government had this year itself closed the MDMA also, which was constituted about 24 years ago to investigate the larger conspiracy behind the assassination of the former Prime Minister. We've also seen how repeated paroles were given to Perarivalan from the state government, the DMK government, in 2017 as well. The state government had extended parole, which was granted and extended time and again in 2021. So that is the kind of response that is coming from successive political parties in Tamil Nadu. I believe Prapanch is still not through. That's the response we've seen on ground. the kind of support that these convicts have received, all in all, from across parties, Harish, in Tamil Nadu?
Yes, Kisween, ever since even the Jayalalitha cabinet in September 2018 had recommended the release of all these convicts, owing to the pressure from the pro-Tamil parties. Overwhelming 70% of the the voters in Tamil Nadu at that point of time was pro-Tamil and belonged to the parties like the PMK, DMK and AIDMK. There was overwhelming support, as you rightly said, to these convicts, and as a result, the Jayalalitha cabinet had in September 2018 recommended to the then governor that the cabinet had unanimously, the assembly had unanimously recommended the release of all these convicts. That included Perarivalan and Ravichandran and Nalini. But apart from that, all the other four have also got relief, and this issue was emotive, but the governor had sat on the recommendation and said that it is for the center to take a decision, and after sitting on it for 4 years, last year, January, the then governor had sent the documents, to the papers, recommendation to the president, saying that the president is best competent to handle the issue and therefore center should decide. But the matter once again came to Supreme Court, and in Perarivalan's case, Supreme Court very categorically, very emphatically concluded that once there is a recommendation regarding remission of convicts by the cabinet, the governor is bound to follow it, and the governor should have acted on it rather than passing it on to the president.
Very rightly pointed out, Harish, that in Jan last year itself, it was the governor, it was the court that said that as the governor continues to sit on the cabinet recommendation, the Supreme Court is going to have to order to take a decision, and warned that the court will be forced to release them, citing inordinate delay. Prapanch, that's exactly what's happened on ground now. The Supreme Court has invoked the Perarivalan release and has granted release, has set free all the convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case.
That's right. In May this year, Perarivalan was in fact granted release by invoking Article 142 of the Constitution. Now, this was a special provision which was invoked, and subsequently we also saw that Nalini and Ravichandran had applied for the same thing in Supreme Court, stating that in fact, Perarivalan, since he was released, they also should be released. And subsequently, we also saw that in fact, parole was being extended from time to time. But however, in fact, we now saw that Perarivalan was released on the special powers that was invoked, and subsequently this was in fact appealed in the Supreme Court by Nalini also and Ravichandran. Now we could see that all 6 convicts are released, and in fact, various political parties are welcoming it. Parties like Tirumavalan, VCK Tirumavalan has been welcoming this.
Stay on with us. Let's quickly hear the legal reactions coming in on this big release in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case.
Yeah. So the court has today released 6 accused in the case.
Yes. All 6 convicts? Yes, all 6 have been released today. Released forthwith. Following the...
Sir, everybody is taking bite.
Following the judgment of this court, dated 18/5/2022 for Perarivalan, delaying the Perarivalan, all 6 have been released now. Their conduct, their medical condition and their reformative angle, all has been considered, observed, and they have been released today.
Citing Perarivalan case?
Yes. Following Perarivalan.
Your name, sir? Your name?
I am Prabhu.
Let me go across to Congress's Udit Raj joining us on the phone line. Now, Mr. Udit Raj, what do you make of this? The Supreme Court ordering the release of all the convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case on the lines of order passed in favour of Perarivalan.
See, I have to study the judgment, and instantly I can't make any comment. But what I feel from my side is that if such murderers are let loose, it will embolden others also commit such kind of crime. However, again I say that I don't know the stand of the party because I'm not knowing the entire fact, and just you confronted me. I'm just coming to know it through you only.
Okay.
So I don't think that I'm well prepared to make a.
Okay, if I may, Mr. Udit Raj, the top court, as per the details shared by legal editor, took into consideration the convicts' conduct in jail, the fact that they spent more than 30 years in jail already, and also how the governor was sitting on this decision. The governor had not acted in the last 4 years, so the Supreme Court has released all of them.
Then of course, governor has derelicated his duty. If he had not acted upon, so that's a different thing. But of course, as far as letting the accused is concerned, that I will not be in position to tell unless until I consult the party position.
Okay, but sir, it was the new DMK government, the Congress ally in the state of Tamil Nadu, that repeatedly kept extending Perarivalan's parole as well.
See, that is what I am telling you, that I'll come back to you, or the party will come back to you with a comprehensive reply. I have to educate myself what I think. And because it's a legal matter, therefore I cannot make a much comment on it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Udit Raj. Still waiting to consult his party men to come out with a final word on what the Congress's stand here is going to be and their reaction officially is going to be to this, especially given what DMK's stand all throughout has been. Harish, if I could come back to you once again, the Supreme Court has invoked the Perarivalan case, has released the 6 convicts. Also, you know how we have been breaking down details of the Jan 2021 warning that came in from the top court itself, that the governor is sitting on this decision, warned that the court will be forced to release them, citing inordinate delay. Given the facts in place, the timeline in place, this was long in coming, it seems.
Yes, that's right, Kasveen. In fact, as I said earlier, while releasing all these convicts, the Supreme Court bench led by Justice B.R. Gavai had extensively cited and invoked the Perarivalan judgment, in which the Perarivalan had in fact moved for mercy petition in the Supreme Court, saying that the governor has not acted on state's recommendation despite the state cabinet passing it unanimously. All the MLAs, including from ADMK, DMK, PMK, all the Tamil parties had voted in favor of release of all these convicts, and despite that, the governor not only sat on it for 4.5 years, but at the end of it, without deciding, despite Supreme Court's repeated direction and pulling up, and Supreme Court coming on heavily on the governor, at the end, he in fact merely forwarded the recommendation to the president on last year, February. That was the final. In fact, Supreme Court had taken very serious note of the fact that governor had sat on it for 4.5 years and had not acted on it, and forwarded to the governor saying that President is the competent authority. But the Supreme Court very categorically noted that under Article 161, the governor alone had the power to pardon and give remission to the convicts, and the governor should have acted rather than forwarding it to the government to the president. So today also the Supreme Court has in fact ruled on rule of parity, as saying that all these convicts, apart from Nalini and Ravichandran, who are the petitioners today, on grounds of parity, all these convicts should also be released, like the Perarivalan judgment, and all these conditions, in fact, which went in favor of Perarivalan, was cited by the Supreme Court in the case of these 6 convicts also. And Supreme Court has said that if Perarivalan has been ordered to be released, in which Supreme Court said that the governor was bound to obey the recommendation of the state government. These 6 convicts are also similarly placed, and taking into consideration the fact that they had spent 31 years in jail, number 1. Number 2, their age. Number 3, that they have their conduct in the jail. And number 4, that it has been proved that they have undergone reformation. These were the observation of Justice B.R. Gawai bench, which has today in a very, very big judgment, a very big development as far as the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case is concerned, ordered release of all the 6 convicts. And remember, Perarivalan was released earlier, and the 6 other convicts also enjoyed the relief today, in line with what Perarivalan had enjoyed, and going by the May 18th judgment of the Supreme Court this year. Back to you.
All right, let me go across to Prapanch on that. Prapanch, what are we to expect next? The kind of political reactions that are likely to come in, because here's the new DMK government, ever since it came to power in the state of Tamil Nadu, was constantly backing the release of all of these convicts. Remember how some of the DMK party men, DMK MPs could be seen congratulating Perarivalan as well upon his release.
Yes, sir. In fact, earlier we saw the DMK government congratulating, in fact, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister himself met Perarivalan when he was released, and he went, in fact, directly to meet the Chief Minister in Chennai. And we also, in fact, got his interview. He said that he is very happy, and he did not respond at that point in time whether he will fight for the other people also in this regard. But now we could see that, in fact, DMK government was batting for all their release earlier also. Subsequently, we also saw that ADMK government had in fact passed, in fact, in the cabinet made a decision that in fact all the 7 accused should be released. And subsequently we also saw that the governor was in fact did not take decision, and then it was passed on to the government. Now we can see that all the 6 are later released. Now Tirumavalan, the VCK chief, has welcomed this particular move. They have said that he's also pointed out that since these people are foreign national, he was also raising the question of what will be done with them further, because he also said that they should not be sent to the Sri Lanka, is what we had earlier said. So we'll have to wait and watch what kinds of reactions that are yet to come in this particular regard.
Absolutely. And remember what happened earlier, Prapanch, with regards to Perarivalan's release. Remember how files on premature release of the 7 convicts were referred to the president by the governor itself, and it is then that the top court had pulled up the governor, stating that he was bound by the state cabinet's decision to release Perarivalan, who had served not just 36 years of his life term in the case, and also castigated his action of sending the mercy plea to the president.
That's right. Now we could see that Perarivalan was released on a special ground. Article 142 was invoked for the release of Perarivalan. Subsequently, now we are seeing that Nalini and Ravichandran, who were the co-accused, had once again appealed in the Supreme Court, stating that their co-accused was released on the special grounds and why not them. And subsequently, they also filed a similar appeal, and now we could see that all the 6, in fact, have since, and they have also mentioned that they have served the time of 30 years, and their conduct was also considered. So now we could see that all the 6 accused who were in fact were in the prison for in fact more than 30 years have been released. Now there are various reactions. Few people are against this particular release also. They do not accept this particular move. However, we also saw that the DMK and the allied parties have been welcoming this particular move as yet, but we did not have any in fact confirmation from the DMK in this particular regard. But however, we can see that Tirumavalan, the ally of the DMK, has welcomed this particular decision.
Okay. Going back to Harish on this. Harish, if you could just take us through the top court's observation once again. Of course, apart from looking at the case of Perarivalan as a precedent and really taking this forward with regards to the release of the remaining, what is it that the top court noted? I'll come back to you on that, but let me for the moment go across to Mr. Kovai Satyan, also joining us on the phone line. Mr. Kovai Satyan, how do you see this? The top court has set free all the convicts serving life sentence in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case, sir.
This was our request Our leader, Puruchi Televi Amma, Jayalalitha, said she will invoke Article 161 to release the convicts who are languishing in the jail for decades. It was the same stand as our leader, Edapadiyar. So both of them passed resolutions in the assembly. This was our stand, unlike our rival DMK, who initially sought release of 2 people, then later changed their narrative for all. Our stand is clear from the beginning. Because justice delayed is justice denied. They are languishing in the jail for more than 2 decades, 2.5 decades. So you cannot deny them.
So while you're saying that the DMK was certainly eager to let Mr. Perarivalan, for example, in this case, let him free, set him free from the jail premises, you're saying that there was a little bit of a bias coming in from the DMK all throughout?
True. 2000, they went and represented. They gave him a letter to the governor, Fatima Bibi, that time, seeking release of only 2 people, Nalini and the other person. They never sought release for all the 7. But it was our leader, Puruchi Televi Amma, who said, considering their behavior on the court in the jail and on humanitarian grounds, since they have already served more than 2 decades in the prison, and set them free. Our leader set the tone and narrative to release all 7 way back in 2014.
Okay, let me go across to Mr. A. Saravanan to respond to the charges that you're making against the DMK. Mr. Saravanan, if you heard Mr. Satyan there, he seems to suggest that the DMK was only interested in the release of 2 convicts as opposed to the AIDMK stand that was extremely consistent all throughout. They wanted all the convicts to be set free.
Right now the most important thing is that these convicts have been set free after almost 30 years in prison. We welcome this decision. Most important thing what we have to look here is the actions of the governor. The governor here again did not act on the resolution of the cabinet. He ought to have acted. The Supreme Court has released only because the governor has not acted. So the BJP, using the office of the governor, is trying to scuttle, is trying to interfere in the democratic functioning of elected governments. This is the most important aspect. The ADMK, which does not have any spine to speak about the governor, is just politicking by making all these statements. In 2014, Selvi Jayalalitha did not want to release these persons. That is why she resorted to Section 434 of the Criminal Procedure Code instead of Article 161. Which now the present ADMK government has relied upon, and that is the only reason they were released.
Okay, Mr. Kovai Satyan, how would you respond to that? Why is it that the governor continued to sit on the cabinet recommendation?
The prima facie, the Supreme Court has taken into consent of the resolution passed by the cabinet. Twice we passed the resolution that adds merit to the case. To speak against somebody, you don't need spine, you need a tongue. And your tongue should not wag based on the situations. And we don't take credit for the work which we didn't do. We only take credit for what we have done. Unlike our rival DMK, who is interested to paste sticker on whoever done good, they take the credit. We don't do like that. The governor has sat on many proposals, time and again, since independence, that's the norm. But if you're fighting in judiciary, the merits has to be added to the acts of the assembly. While we were in power, twice we passed a resolution that has added merit to this case in the eyes of the Supreme Court. That is what more important.
Okay.
We don't play petty politics by blaming center has not acted, governor has not acted. What matters is the end result.
Okay, so once again, we do see a bit of political blame game ensuing here. Thank you, Mr. Satyan and Mr. Saravanan, for joining us here on Times Now. Let me take in a word from Mr. Rashid Alvi, who's also joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Alvi, how do you see this big development coming in?
No, it is very unfortunate. I can never have a soft corner for any criminal. I am unable to understand what these state governments are doing, recommending release of criminals. It has happened in Gujarat also, and now it is happening in Tamil Nadu also. It was Rajiv Gandhi, ex-Prime Minister of the country, and these people were the part of the conspiracy. It is unfortunate if a state government has recommended it, and at the same time, Supreme Court is not bound to accept the recommendation of any state. So,
no, but Mr. Alvi, why is it that you've not been able to communicate as a party the same to your ally in the state of Tamil Nadu?
You have said very rightly, DMK is an ally of Congress party. But at the same time, if DMK government has done anything wrong, we can't appreciate, and at least I can't appreciate. I am unable to understand why only for the sake of government, for the sake of election, people have soft corner for criminals. What is happening in this country? It is unfortunate.
But is this an important enough an issue for the Congress party, and has been one in the past? Because despite DMK's consistent stand on, for example, Perarivalan, who's also a convict in this very case, who was set free in the month of May, the DMK stand was consistent all throughout. They were batting for his release.
Yeah, I know it very well.
And yet the Congress decided to go ahead with DMK in the state. So isn't it an important enough an issue for the Congress party?
Yeah. It is, I know it, the sentiments of DMK, you are very right, but we are not with those sentiments. As far as alliance is concerned, it is a different thing. It is a political alliance in Tamil Nadu. That is a different thing. But if DMK has done anything wrong, if its government has done anything wrong, how can we support it? I strongly condemn its recommendation.
Okay. So you strongly condemn the state cabinet's recommendation. Thank you for joining us here on Times Now. Let's quickly play out the reaction coming in from the lawyer who represented the two convicts in this case. Listen in.
Following the judgment of this court, dated 18/5/2022 for Perarivalan, relaying the Perarivalan, all 6 have been released now. Their conduct, their medical condition and their reformative angle, all has been considered, observed, and they have been released today.
All right, Prapanch and Harish, continue to stay on with us. I believe Harish is also joining us with some legal voices. Yes, Harish. We'll try and reconnect with Harish in just a bit to get in more legal perspective on this, and also the terms that were noted by the top court and what it took into consideration while granting release of all the convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. Now remember, if we talk about the petition filed here, it was only filed by 2 of the life-term convicts, Nalini, Sriharan and Ravichandran. They were seeking premature release on lines of the order passed in favour of another convict, Perarivalan, in the month of May this year itself. But with regards to what the top court has noted, of course, it's spoken of the state's cabinet decision that was binding on the governor and how the governor failed to act for 4 long years. And so it was upon the Supreme Court to take this decision. Harish, I believe, is back with us. Yes, Harish.
Yes, Kiswin, I have with me a lawyer from the convict legal team which had appeared for the convicts. Let us know from him what are the exact reasons which the Supreme Court took into consideration while setting free all the convicts. Mr. Selvam, what exactly are the considerations of the Supreme Court bench?
Today, Supreme Court decided that the Tamil Nadu government, Council of Ministers, recommended to all 7 prisoners to be released. But those recommendations, Tamil Nadu governor didn't sign. Simply he kept quiet for 2.5 years. Thereafter he forwarded to President of India, though without any legal basis or any practical situations. Those things is earlier the Mr. Perarivalan judgments rendered by this Honorable Court. At the time, Additional Solicitor General argued that the governor's recommendations is accordance with law, because these are all the issues of national importance, because that is our former Prime Minister was died. But those arguments was rejected by this Honorable Court and released one of the prisoner. But thereafter, subsequently, all other 6 prisoners, 2 of them approached to the High Court, and the High Court simply says that we don't have the, Supreme Court have the power under Article 142. Such a reason, 2 convicts writ petitions rejected. That against we filed the SLP here.
So today also Article 142 was invoked?
Yes, that is in earlier, that's in Perarivalan judgments, and earlier more
on grounds of parity.
Parity, as well as they are the good character and they are the health issues also taken into considerations and released to all. That is in the 142, health and the good character also taken into consideration.
So what exactly do you think is the reason behind governor sitting on the recommendation for 4.5 years?
I don't know, but without any legal basis, that's what I can say. He don't have any substance because there is a number of judgments rendered by this honorable court. Just whatever that is in Council of Ministers of the state recommendations provided to you, you just sign it. That's all. You don't have that is in any discretion power whether this is recommendation right or wrong. But without any such, even those judgments are there, I don't know why that is in the governor is kept quiet and forwarded to President of India without any legal basis.
Okay, so this was the advocate saying that the governor sitting on the recommendation of the state government was without any legal basis. The Supreme Court has very clearly said that, and drawing a parity with Perarivalan judgment has today ordered release of all the convicts. That is, so citing Perarivalan, the other 6 convicts also got release today, got relief today from the Supreme Court, and will be shortly walking free. Back to you.
Okay, all right. So yes, all legal voices speaking in one voice and talking really about how the governor was sitting on this decision for the last 4 years. Now, Harish, the Supreme Court, of course, has invoked the Perarivalan case, has released all the 6 convicts. But with regards to the steps that were being taken in this case, for example, like you also mentioned in Jan 2021, as the governor continues to sit on the cabinet recommendation, it was the top court that had ordered to take a decision. It was the top court that had warned to come out with a decision with regards to this very case. Because of the inordinate delay, the top court said that we will be forced to intervene. The central government parallelly had closed the multidisciplinary monitoring agency, the MDMA as well, which was consulted about 24 years ago to investigate the case. All efforts were being made, and the final decision certainly had to be taken by the governor as per the cabinet recommendation. Prapanch, then questions being asked, as to why did that not happen despite all efforts pointing in that direction, and that's exactly what led the top court to intervene at this stage.
In fact, we could see that the government had in fact recommended, the cabinet had recommended the release of all 7 convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case earlier. That was given to the governor. The governor had in fact not decided for nearly 2 years' time, and then after on, in fact subsequently the government also started putting pressure on the governor, and subsequently thereafter we saw that in fact the case was transferred, it was given to the president, and thereafter in fact we could also see that Perarivalan was released on the special grounds of Article 142, and based on that Nalini and Ravichandran, who are also the co-accused in this particular case, had filed an appeal once again in the Supreme Court stating that their co-accused was released and they should be released on the similar ground because they have also spent in fact considerable time, nearly 30 years in the jail. And in fact Nalini and Ravichandran and earlier Perarivalan were constantly they were on parole. Their paroles were extended every time. In fact they also they were in fact citing various reasons of health and also their daughter's marriage. One of the reason was that, and subsequently we also saw that their paroles have been extending from time to time. Now in fact we could see that the Supreme Court has in fact released all the 6 convicts, and parties like BCK has welcomed this particular move of the Supreme Court, stating that in fact he also termed it as a victory for all these which is very unfortunate. In fact, he stated that this is a victory that all these 6 convicts are in fact freed now.
Okay. If we could once again go back to Harish. Harish, you were earlier talking about the conditions that were, kept in mind while granting release of all the convicts. If you could throw some more light on that, please. Harish. Okay, not
Can
quite.
you hear me?
Yeah, Harish, go ahead. What are the aspects that the Supreme Court took into consideration while going ahead with this decision?
Yeah. Yes, the Supreme Court principally took the ground of parity regarding, because earlier this year in May 18, the Supreme Court had ordered the release of Perarivalan, and all those factors in fact matched with that of the 7 convicts who were 2 convicts who were also before the Supreme Court, that is Ravichandran and Nalini, and the other factors which taken into consideration that the state cabinet had ordered the release, recommended the release of all these 7 convicts, not just Perarivalan, in September 2018. And as I said earlier, the governor was sitting on the recommendation for the past 4 years and had not acted on it. And the other factors are that their advanced age, the fact that they had spent 31 years in jail, their good conduct in jail, and also the report that all these 7 convicts had undergone a lot of reformation as far as their behavior and conduct is concerned. And so, the main reason is that all these convicts were similarly placed. And as said earlier, all these factors were also considered in the Perarivalan judgment, which Supreme Court said that the governor was illegally sitting on the state's recommendation, and without doing anything, he had forwarded the recommendation to the governor to act, saying that since CBI is the prosecuting agency, center is competent to decide on it, and the president in this case was the competent authority to decide on the remission petition, the mercy pleas. But the Supreme Court has concluded otherwise, saying that the governor had no authority to forward the recommendation to the president. Once the cabinet had approved, passed it unanimously and forwarded to him, he should have acted then and there in September 2018 itself. That created a situation where, despite recommendation, all these convicts were languishing in jail for more than 4 years, even despite the state government, the MLAs unanimously voting in assembly and passing a resolution. So these were the factors which went into the decision behind not only Ravichandran and Nalini, who were before court. Supreme Court drew the principle of parity and also ordered the release of 4 other convicts who were also serving life term and who were in jail. So as of now, the biggest takeaway is that all the convicts in the sensational Rajiv Gandhi assassination case will very shortly walk free.
And we'll be looking out for those visuals, isn't it? It'll be quite interesting because over 3 decades they have been behind bars. Remember, interestingly, it has been said several times by the centre that there's going to be zero tolerance for terror. There's a debate which is now kicking up as to why a free pass in that case has been given. Because remember, it is due to the writ of the people in the form of resolutions passed in the cabinet, which has weighed very heavily on this order by the Supreme Court as well. Meanwhile, let's tell you what exactly it is that the defense lawyers of the killers of Rajiv Gandhi had to say after the order.
This court dated 18/5/2022 for Perarivalan, relaying the Perarivalan, all 6 have been released now. Their conduct, their medical condition and their reformative angle all has been considered, observed, and they have been released today.
Well, let me try and go across to Prapanch as well, if he's there with us. Prapanch, if you can hear me, you must explain to us the first few reactions which are coming in. Because at the time of Perarivalan, I'm not sure if we have Prapanch. Prapanch, if you can hear me, I believe we don't have him through. But Harish, you must explain to us the entire reasoning for the Supreme Court to allow these people their freedom now after 3 years, other than the fact that they have been in jail for long enough, but also politically they've received a lot of support. This includes resolutions, also cabinet notes. Is that something which would have had a big bearing on the Supreme Court's decision today?
Yes, undoubtedly the crime was heinous. The victim in this case was a former Prime Minister, and even the centre was very apprehensive whether all these convicts can be released or not. But the Supreme Court, as I said earlier, took into consideration several facts, like once the Supreme Court had ordered the release of one of the convicts. Remember, Meghna, all these convicts are actually on a similar footing, and all of them have been convicted for the same offense, and if one of them had been ordered to be released by the Supreme Court while considering the mercy plea, and remember, all the state government had in fact way back in September 2018 recommended the release of all of them and not just Perarivalan, and if the Supreme Court had directed release of Perarivalan in September 2018 based on the recommendation of the state government, and ruling that the governor had not acted on the state. It was wrong on the part of governor not to act on the state government's recommendation, and it was wrong on his part to forward it to the president, while he himself should have decided it on the basis of Article 161. Then the same rule applies for all these convicts also. Not only Ravichandran and Nalini, who are before the court today, but even 4 others who are languishing in jail since 30 years got the relief. So the Supreme Court principally applied the principle of parity, because if the Supreme Court had given relief to one convict, the same relief applies to all other convicts. And also these other factors which went into the decision was that all these convicts had spent more than 31 years in jail. They had in fact reformed. Their conduct in jail was good, and they had done several positive acts while in the jail. And the state government had given a report that it was observed that all these prisoners had undergone reformation during their stint in the jail. So these were the factors which the Supreme Court had considered while releasing not only Ravichandran and Nalini, who were the petitioners in the case before the Supreme Court.
Well, in fact, do stay on with us. Let me go across to Chhattisgarh Cabinet Minister joining us on the show, T.S. Singh Deo. Mr. Deo, your first reaction. Your party all along has been saying they have absolutely no problem if remission is granted to Rajiv killers.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon to all your viewers. It was a very, very shocking and sad day for all of us when Rajiv ji was assassinated. And then onwards, we have had Rahul ji making his sentiments known. We have the process of law. We have the Supreme Court who take, in their wisdom, decisions on matters as sensitive as the assassination of Rajiv ji. There is little one can say. Acts like these, when you take a humanitarian point of view, maybe reformation, etc., these sort of things are taken into consideration. But it was a dastardly act. For me, it is very, very difficult to take a call on that. The only thing one can say is the Supreme Court, in its wisdom, has found it suitable for them to have this relief after serving a particular sentence. Then we have to go along.
Now, Mr. Deo, I'm asking you this because in 2014, Rahul Gandhi himself had come out and said, I'm saddened that Rajiv Gandhi's killers are going to be set free. Then in 2018, your own party went back on it and said that there is no objection to the release of Rajiv Gandhi's killers. We've also seen Priyanka Gandhi go and meet Nalini in the past. So what is the stand of the Congress? Is it and was it in support of the remission or not?
I really can't speak on behalf of the Congress party. I have no designation. I have no authority to speak on that behalf, on behalf of the party. But for me personally, it is very difficult to take a call on these issues. A life sentence is a life sentence. Though it is converted into years, and particular number of years is considered having completed that sentence. So that is the law of the land. How justice can be done? Can we really give justice to Rajiv ji? The way he was assassinated, is there anything in this country or in the law or in the world that would justify that sort of an act? Can we say that, okay, you can kill somebody in that manner and it's okay, after 30 years you go scot-free? Those are the issues which trouble you when you think about them deeply, knowing that there are people who have views that there should be no capital punishment, there should be no punishment beyond a period. But can you ever take back that dastardly act of assassination? I don't think so.
Mr. Deo, which is why it's ironical that your own party leaders and those from the Gandhi family itself had said that we have no problem if remission is granted, because on one hand, everyone speaks about zero tolerance for terror, but now a free pass being given to terrorists.
Yes, that is true. And what Rahulji has said or what Priyankaji did, they did in their individual capacities. For me as an individual, it is very, very difficult to go beyond an act like the assassination of Rajiv Ji.
I appreciate your thoughts. I appreciate your thoughts. You've been very candid and you're saying you can't speak for the party. For you, it's hard to see perhaps the killers of Rajiv Gandhi now walking free. T.S. Deo there, the Health Minister of Chhattisgarh, one of the veterans of the Congress party, they're speaking to Times Now. But spare a thought. Remember, it's not just Rajiv Gandhi. Several others also were killed in that attack by the LTT terrorists. And one of them is joining us on the show, someone who lost his mother. Abbas is joining us. अब्बास, आपने उस ब्लास्ट में जिसमें राजीव गांधी जी भी शहीद हुए थे, वहाँ पर आपकी मदर भी गुजर गई थी. आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट का डिसीजन है कि उनको सबको रिहा किया जाए, सबको फ्री किया जाए. आपको जब पता चला, आपका फर्स्ट रिएक्शन क्या था उस पे? It looks like we've lost that audio connection. We'll try and reconnect with Abbas, because it's important for us to remember several others had also, scores had also lost their lives when it came to that. Meanwhile, let's get you some reactions also coming in from the AIADMK. This is what Kovai Satyam had to say. Remember, AIADMK had taken very strident stands demanding the remission of Rajiv Gandhi's killers. Today, they feel they have been vindicated, but listen in to what AIADMK and the DMK have to say today.
The prima facie, the Supreme Court has taken into consent of the resolution passed by the Cabinet. Twice we passed the resolution that adds merit to the case. To speak against somebody, you don't need spine, you need a tongue. And your tongue should not wag based on the situations. And we don't take credit for the work which we didn't do. We only take credit for what we have done. Unlike our rival DMK, who is interested to paste sticker on whoever done good, they take the credit. We don't do like that. The governor has sat on many proposals, time and again since independence, that's a norm. But if you're fighting in judiciary, the merits has to be added to the acts of the assembly.
Right now the most important thing is that these convicts have been set free after almost 30 years in prison. We welcome this decision. Most important thing what we have to look here is the actions of the governor. The governor here again did not act on the resolution of the cabinet. He ought to have acted. The Supreme Court is released only because the governor has not acted. So the BJP, using the office of the governor, is trying to scuttle, is trying to interfere in the democratic functioning of elected governments. This is the most important aspect. The ADMK, which does not have any spine to speak about the governor, is just politicking by making all these statements. In 2014, Selvi J. Jayalalitha did not want to release these persons. That is why she resorted to Section 434 of the Criminal Procedure Code instead of Article 161. Which now the present ADMK government has relied upon, and that is the only reason they were released.